wants to get healthy? Anybody? Oh, look at that. Four hands are raised.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. A healthy bunch of gentlemen here, sort of, kind of. Galen, I'm sure, is down here in the basement in the dark making some type of vegetable potpourri.
That is correct. Sesame seed buns.
There you go. Chris Perry.
Cold-pressed juice.
Cold-pressed juice.
Oh.
Chris Perry in the far corner, the guru himself, and the marketing man upstairs. Chart man is the show. We're talking about two of these companies that you may have seen recently right here on the Equity.Guru site with Maddie. 5 questions with Maddie. Fantastic stuff. Nadia Pinavaya is the boss woman at Plantable, which is based in Canada and New York City. Their kitchen, I believe, their big kitchen facility is in Brooklyn. PLBL on the NEO exchange. And then Planting Hope. Julia Stamberger talked to us. They're in Chicago. It's MYLK on the Venture Exchange. That's who we're going to look at because they're two different things, but they're both very, very good for you, Galen.
Yes, they are. They're two different things, but they're very similar. One is a service for the most part, but they do provide their own food and product. The other is a product producer. So let's start with Plantable. Plantable is a service which allows people to learn how to eat better for the long run. It provides like a 28-day diet regimen called the Reboot, which you can take and hopefully with counseling and digital platform be able to monitor yourself and carry forward and actually eat what you should eat rather than the shit we usually eat. So I spoke with, I did speak with her briefly before the interview.
I
did. And sure.
She's pretty cool.
She's very cool. She's also a qualified professional. She's a doctor. And she knows what she's talking about. So they've gone to great lengths to clinically prepare these meals and this program in order to help people get through the transition, because that's the biggest thing. You don't just stop one day and start converting over to eating plant-based foods or healthier foods. It just basically doesn't happen. People need a reason, and they also need a plan to make that happen. And so this 28-day program allows you that to the opportunity to make that transition with support and with really good food. They also have a 7-day program, which kind of gives you a nice kickstart, which I believe is what they call it, to just either get yourself going once again after the program or to give yourself a small taste of what is yet to come. They've just listed, so they've got some while before they actually make anything happen. And so got to give them that time to develop that stuff. But it's an interesting program. It's like Weight Watchers. That's a program that's been around for years and years and years and years and years. These guys have an opportunity in their niche with plant-based foods to create themselves a similar spot.
I would say the food looks pretty good.
Yeah, the food is actually quite awesome. You get it in ready-made portions. So basically, you can just sort of just eat and enjoy rather than go, how the hell do I cook this?
And one thing that you brought up that I remember her saying on that interview also is they have the counselor or assistant standing by. So like today I was in the office and I was jonesing for chocolate, and because Chris was having a piece of chocolate and I was attack for the chocolate. But if you're like late at night and you're like, well, I have to have that beer after the game now. I have to have that beer, and I'm going to the fridge. They'll talk you off the cliff. Like if you're on day 13 and you're on a pound of 6-pack or something. There's help available. So that
absolutely. Like-minded individuals helping you get through, and they are professionals. It's not just somebody on the other end of the phone. They're counseling professionals, dietitians, and nutritionists. So they know what they're doing as well, and they're giving you professional support as you make your way through. So that's Plantable. Now, as I said before, there are two different types of companies. Planting Hope actually makes products. Yep. Now, they've got a groundbreaking product right now, because if you've ever tasted it before, and I actually stopped going, I make my own coffee at the office now, but I actually stopped going to a coffee place just recently because they served me almond milk in my coffee or in my latte, and it was fucking disgusting. It really was. I'm sorry if you like the almond milk thing. It just doesn't taste right. Tastes a bit off for me.
I moved on to oat milk.
Yeah, see, there you go. And Julia has found the same thing. And that also these milks don't necessarily have the nutrition that original milk does either. That's the other drawback. So what they discovered, and it took them a long time to do this, they've been through the lab and they did a lot of their own research and work, and it's all clinically backed. They found themselves an ability to use sesame seeds, which is a very low environmentally impacted product that you can grow a lot of with very little water. So you can actually put in countries that don't necessarily have the opportunity to grow it. It provides opportunities for farmers there, but it also is a very sustainable product to grow locally if you would like as well. And as I said, a very low impact and a very high sort of turnout in terms of nutrition and of the oil. Now, the oil we already sort of are aware of, but what they've managed to do is they also incorporate the pulp, which is a highly nutritional and also gives body to the product that they're doing. And from what they said, I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but from what they said, it tastes like a milk. Mm-hmm. It doesn't taste like, oh, this is I'm doing my effort. I'm making my effort to be plant-based and close the eyes and pass the gullet. Here it goes. This is actually pleasing. And it cooks the same way and is mixed the same way. It has all the same consistencies. And as Julia said, they had spent years making this happen. This isn't just some sort of quickly out of the box. And so it's actually making quite a bit of a stir. There we go. Thank you. Well, nice play. And it's making quite a stir in the industry because it's indeed the closest thing to milk that doesn't have to be milk. And you can use it as milk.
And
cooking
I would say, I'm just reading this
stuff.
too, but one of the big things, like you mentioned, Galen, from like almond milk versus like regular milk, you know, regular milk has a lot of protein. That's sort of the big thing.
Yes, and this provides the same amount of protein, whereas other products do not do that. And, you know, the oat milk, almond milk, and whatever else you happen to find, rice milk, all that stuff. It has almost none, unless you artificially add it, which is not really ever a great situation. This provides the proper whole protein that you would get in milk, that your body is able to break down as a protein as well, which is another positive, because a lot of the proteins you get in vegetarian food are not the complete protein and don't break down very well. So Julia was another person that was also very much behind her product and very much has a very clear mandate and vision to bring this forward. And they're making more products. And there's got lots of news for them putting it out into different industries and into shows and stuff. So they're really getting their product out there. Again, just like Plantable, these guys have just come out. So not a lot in terms of financial results yet. But I think these guys especially, and not that Plantable hasn't, but these guys especially have really hit the ground running and are making a go of the commercialization aspect. So you should see a return in terms of sales and commercialization a lot sooner than most other guys that come to market and say that in 5 years we should have a workable product.
Right. So Chris, man, as a product guru, in terms of as a user, and as an investor, your thoughts on Plantable and Planting Hope?
Look, I always enjoy investing in something that I would actually use as a product. I think that's, you know, you're really sort of benefiting in two ways when you do that. I'm a carnivore from way back. You know, there's no two ways about it. I'm always going to have a knack for meat. That said, the world doesn't revolve around me. So when it comes to things like milk, meat isn't really in the equation. You know, it's not. I'm not going to go and throw some beef in with my milkshake. So I can be a carnivore and I can still eat and drink plant-based things. So the milk products that are out there, like oat milk for me, is superior to dairy. It like tastes better, it keeps longer, it's every bit as good, and it doesn't do all the things for you that dairy milk does that are negative. So I'm all in on the Planting Hope. Excuse me.
Bless you. If you didn't eat all that meat.
If I wasn't eating meat, and there'd be liquidy snot all over the place. Yes, it's possible to benefit from the plant-based foods without actually being one of those dead-eyed vegan types that look like they're about 3 seconds away from the zombie apocalypse. Quite frankly, I've always taken the opinion that if we didn't have dairy milk, we wouldn't have cows. because if we let all the cows go, the coyotes would have a field day and there'd be no more cows left. So we're kind of doing them a favor by keeping them and occasionally slaughtering them. All right, maybe that needs a bit more thought.
More occasionally.
the line between good and evil when it comes to food is not so simple. I had a restaurant and I did business with local farmers who have their animals in fields and who I visited and who care very much for those animals, even if eventually they will go for slaughter. Those animals live a good, full life, and you can taste the difference. Not exactly a Peter slogan, but close enough. So I'm all for
like
sustainable food, and I think that getting away from dairy farms is sustainable. I think developing new forms of milk and dairy products that don't have quite as big a stain on the world is useful. I will say that, almond milk isn't it. The amount of water that's required to grow almonds. So, be careful what you wish for in terms of alternate options. But look, if we're going to be growing meat in vats and we're going to be making milk out of Lord knows what, everything's open now. All the traditional foods, there's an opportunity to get in on the ground floor of the alternate version. If someone can make a good gluten-free bread that doesn't taste like popcorn filler, then everyone should buy in. That's going to be a big deal. So these companies they're interesting to me in that they're trying to break old models, and if they can get it right and replace an existing food source with something better, more sustainable, less expensive even to make, that's a gimme. You can still enjoy your steak, but enjoy the profits as well.
I thought you were heading down the Soylent Green road there for a second.
I actually got an email from Soylent while we were doing this thing. This is why I've been a little distracted. They tell me if I get $100 worth of Soylent products, they'll give me a free T-shirt.
What is it? Charlton Heston screaming, "It's made out of humans"?
Well, yeah. I think the T-shirt should just say, "It's people."
It's people. I don't know why they would use a name so close. Not that the younger generation would know what the hell they were talking about.
Soylent Green's a good movie.
Soylent Green. It's people.
It's people.
All right, Michelle. Comments and charts on the Plantable and the Planting Hope.
Yeah. I mean, just echoing what both of these guys said, I am pretty excited about this industry here. I think there's a lot of opportunities in this sector, coming up. Plantable, nice sort of combination of a food delivery service and that habit app, what's called Noon. And I think there's a market for that, right? There's a lot of people that need this type of, I guess, motivation and coaching, and there's some people that tend to change themselves only when they spend that money, because now they have something to look forward to, or they have that coaching and motivation. So I think that's actually a pretty good market, and I know a few people in my generation that would probably love this kind of service. And Planting Hope, we've talked about products, vegan products. There's just a lot out there. A lot of competition. The big thing for me when it comes to products is the prices, right? So for some of this vegan stuff, it is a bit more on the pricier side. You are paying an extra premium. I'm just thinking, okay, yes, a lot of young people would do that, would spend that extra money to know that they're doing good for the environment, and eating products that are sustainable and healthy for them. However, that's going to be tested if food prices start to go up, with inflation and that kind of stuff, and things for oil and everything else gets more expensive, right? Like, will you still be spending that extra money to buy this type of stuff? So that's sort of
I think this is not just. I think if we look at it as just purely a choice, but there's a lot of people out there that are lactose intolerant.
That's
right,
yeah,
and who cannot stomach goat's milk or any of the other options that are happening. And this is sort of the reason why they made this particular sesame recipe, is because they had I can't remember the exact story, but children who were unable to take advantage of the other products, which they desperately needed because they couldn't take the usual, and this was the only option in their court. So I don't think it's completely a choice. I think it's also an option for people that are not able to do others.
Right. And we were talking about that in a previous roundtable like weeks ago about how a lot of infants now are having, dairy and soy allergies. So
that's right. It was the soy
there is
allergy.
Something there for sure. Yeah. So let's just take a look at the charts here. Once again, as Galen mentioned, both of these companies are relatively new on the public markets here. Plantable IPO'd this year, January 12th, and we'll take a look at the Planting Hope company in just a second. But as you can see, as all IPOs, usually after the initial public offering, a lot of the early investors will want to take some of their profits out, and that was the case with the IPO opening at 44 cents. We hit lows at 18 cents, saw a bit of a pop, nice large engulfing candle, which we've talked about many times on the show, probably a very powerful bullish signal for you. And then we drifted back lower, and this is actually today's close, which we are seeing on the 23rd of February. And as you guys can see, we did print new record lows at 15 cents today. However, I think the positive sign is that buyers did step in to bring the price up, and we did not close below the support that I've drawn out here, which we did make on the 28th of January at 18 cents. So positive is you have a large wick hammer candle. That's what this is called because it looks basically like a hammer, right? You have your long handle here and the actual hammer at the top there, and that's usually a very bullish sign, right? Because it indicates that this whole candle was red at one point, and the buyers did come in to bring the price up. And usually you're expecting now, okay, there's going to be a big group of buyers here, and just because we hit record lows and we are at a nice support zone, looking interesting. I think there is a chance on the technicals that we can see a return back up to the 33 cents. And again, I don't want to get too complicated on the technicals here, but you wouldn't really just be buying based on one candle. It's really important to see what the next candle is going to do. So, we're recording on the 23rd, but say on the 24th, we get a nice green candle on the next day, then I think that's a pretty strong sign that this hammer has held and buyers are stepping in. The best would be something like this, where we get a large engulfing candle. So basically record lows, buyers are stepping in, huge support zone. So there is a chance for things to turn around here on Plantable. Planting Hope, also another relatively new company. The first day of trading was actually November 18th, 2021. So they've been around for about 4 months here. 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. And opposite, we IPO'd, we sold off a little bit, but then we had a nice pop mid-December, hitting record highs at $1.23. From there, we sold back off. We bounced at 85 cents, bounced back up to around $1.15. And, I actually like the technicals on this one because we actually have pretty nice support and resistance levels. One right here at $1.15 to the upside, one right here at 85 cents to the downside. And it looks like prices will just, be bouncing off of these levels. Now I've drawn this triangle out. So I've just connected basically the lows here, and I've collected all the highs here. Again, some chartists might say, oh no, you're not doing it properly. You should be connecting just the wicks of the candles rather than the bodies. But essentially, we have a structure here that's sort of being adhered to, right? Where prices are staying within the boundaries of this triangle. And we're getting to that point where there is going to be a breakout in one direction, right? Not really sure right now where that's going to be. Obviously, for a bull, you'd want to be getting that breakout to the upside. So technically wise, both of these companies actually have, really decent near-term catalysts in terms of a technical breakout, breakout for Planting Hope, and a support bounce here on Plantable Hope, Plantable Health, not Plantable Hope, Plantable Health. So some interesting signs here on the technicals.
I would like to know at this point, now that we're talking about healthy food and healthy companies, if the man who went first, Galen,
Yes.
is going to spend any of the $7,500 he has available on either or both.
Actually, probably both. And nothing against Plantable, but it has a harder row to hoe in terms of sales because it's selling a service that has to sort of get people to understand that whether or not they need it, and that's a difficult one to go at. But they have quite a lot of fervor for what they're doing, and I think it's something that will push forward as long as they can get those sales happening. So basically, and from what Vishal showed, they have, I think, established a ceiling and a basement, which is not necessarily that bad. And I would kind of like to wait to see if it bounces back to show that support level is actually a support level.
Exactly.
But I think at this point it probably is a fairly good indication that it is. So I'm going to stay back from it somewhat. But I'd say I drop $500 on it right now and see where it goes for a little while. And then as it progresses, I would definitely load more on later down the road. Now, Planting Hope is another situation. They're doing quite well on QVC, getting highlighted and staying on for most of their programming, which is a really difficult thing to do. They're getting all sorts of support from that, and QVC is run basically by influencers who sort of have such trust with their public that, basically make the sales happen. They're also getting into Whole Foods, and they're getting the product onto shelves. So they're actually, as I said before, really hitting the ground running. I would probably, judging by what their graph is doing right now, I would probably dump a little more on that. I'd probably go 1,500, maybe 2,000, and see where things go. So basically, by the end of it, I'm putting in $3,000.
All right. Guru?
I like both, and I think $3,000 a pop is a good move.
Wow.
I think it's too early in their life cycles to really know what's happening share-wise. And I don't think that there's anything that I've seen in what they're offering that indicates that these companies aren't real and doing exactly what they say they're going to do. I'd be looking over the course of coming weeks and months to see if the valuations sort of hold true. Certainly Plantable Health at a $12 million valuation is a lot more generous than the 30 or so million on MYLK, but I think they're both great.
$3,000 a pop, Vishal.
So I'm going to be a bit cautious here. I do like what I see here on Plantable in terms of support. So with Galen, I would be throwing in $1,000 around this level. And I would do the same with Planting Hope, just $1,000 for now. The reason why I'm going to be a bit cautious here is, again, these are relatively new companies. And what I would do to determine if I'm going to add to my position is wait for that first earnings report. Don't see any earnings out for either company. And, as Chris mentioned, watch for the next few weeks to months, because I'm sure they'll be, they have to drop an earnings report by then. And I think from there, judging on the numbers and how the markets react, that's where, we will be able to decide whether to add to our position. So $1,000 in each for now. I do favor Plantable a bit more as a trade, just because of what we're seeing at this support, this hammer candle, and of course, Planting Hope also has a decent setup here, holding above 85. So that would be my strategy for both these companies.
Chris changed my mind somewhat. I've upped my thing into Plantable by 500, so I'm going 1,000 on that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
You. All right, not bad, fellas. Getting after it.
Pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, with the healthy stuff. That would be Planting Hope, Julia Stamberger out of Chicago. It's MYLK on the Toronto Venture Exchange. MYLK, Planting Hope, and Nadia Pinavaya. They are operating in both Canada and the United States. They're on the NEO exchange as PLBL, and you just saw that big wicked chart.
We should also mention these aren't client companies. Our opinions here are just based on looking at interesting deals that we think are worth elevating.
Yep.
I will say, though, that I own some MYLK that I got into an early raise on that one, so I'm quite happy with that.
Oh,
There we go.
There's your disclaimer. Our other disclaimer is that we can't guarantee results by what we've said. We also can't have past performance guarantee future results either. So do some homework, do your own research, and we wish you the best with two very healthy companies, Plantable and Planting Hope. And with that, be healthy, and we'll see you on the very next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.
Drink your milk, kids.